On her birthday, he wanted a divorce because of the other woman and his son from another woman, even bringing them home. When the other woman threw a glass at my head and he yelled at me, "Why are you arguing with a child?" I finally signed the divorce agreement. 5 years after moving here, my husband Robert directly brought his longtime crush and her son home. Megan and Billy are new here. They'll be staying at our place for a while. We had a huge fight about it. On my birthday, Robert handed me divorce papers and urged, "Sign these quickly. Megan needs a green card here, so we'll get a fake divorce first." I frowned, wanting to understand. But Robert pointed his finger at me and yelled that I had no compassion. Soon after, I saw Megan's social media post. "Rob is divorcing for me and Billy. We finally have a place to settle down." I quietly liked the post, signed the divorce agreement, and applied to go back home from the office. Mr. Thompson seemed surprised when he received my application. "Sarah, you worked so hard to move here. Why do you want to go back now?" I lowered my head and gave a wry smile. "Mom and Dad are back home. It's better to go back." Just then, Robert pushed open the bedroom door and came in. Hearing my words, he frowned slightly. "Who's going back?" I didn't answer. After talking with Mr. Thompson for a bit, I hung up the phone. I turned around and saw Robert's dark eyes staring straight at me. "Who were you just talking about going back?" I gave a dismissive answer, "Just a colleague applying to go back." Robert's lips curved into a sarcastic smile. "I thought maybe you were applying to go back. But I guess not. You worked so hard to be with me, why would you be willing to leave?" As he spoke, he reached out and put his arm around my waist. "Wife, after Megan gets her green card, let's have a baby." Robert had always treated me this way, hitting me and then offering a treat. But this time, I no longer cared for the treat he offered. I pushed him away and said coldly, "We'll talk about the future later." Robert was stunned for a moment when he heard this. He softened his tone and said to me, "I'm a little unaccustomed to you not arguing with me this time. I thought you'd fight me tooth and nail over this." Listening to his words, I felt an immense sense of irony. A husband and wife fighting tooth and nail over an outsider. I chuckled softly. "I'm tired after arguing so many times." Hearing this, Robert started complaining about me arguing with him over Megan in the past. He said I didn't understand him. He said that every time I argued with him, it made him very sad. Robert was always like this, taking advantage. As long as I took one step back, he would move forward 99 steps. That's why I had been the one tolerating things all these years. When he said he wanted to move here, I left my parents behind and applied for an overseas assignment from the office. When he said he didn't want kids so early, I dealt with pressure from my parents and said I didn't want to have them. But in the end, my efforts couldn't compare to a single word from Megan. I stood up and looked at him calmly. "I won't argue with you anymore." Robert looked at me smugly. "Good. Megan and I are just friends, don't cause drama for no reason. If anything happened," I finished his sentence for him, "it would be none of your business." I had heard that countless times. Robert nodded, satisfied. "It's good you understand that." I said flatly, "I should have understood long ago. I should have understood long ago that in Robert's heart, I didn't measure up to a single one of Megan's fingers." Just then, a childish voice called from outside. "Daddy, Daddy, come play race cars with me, Mommy is so stupid." Robert instinctively stood up and responded. As he was about to walk out, he suddenly turned back and said to me, "I'll play with Billy for a bit. He's a little boy, and Megan." I interrupted him directly. "You don't need to explain so much. I believe you." Robert was stunned for a moment, then threw out a "good that you believe me" and went out. Megan's son had been calling Robert Daddy since the first day they moved in. I had expressed my dissatisfaction to him before. Robert pointed at me and yelled, "Sarah, how can you be so heartless? Billy is just a child, and he's already so pathetic without a dad." Every time I heard Billy call him, a wave of sadness would well up in my heart. But this time, I seemed completely numb. I touched the place where my heart was. A bright smile bloomed on my lips. It turned out that once you decided not to love him, you wouldn't get hurt. Laughter and shouting kept coming from outside. Billy would call out "Daddy" now and then. Robert would answer in a gentle voice. I listened to the sounds outside, planning what to do next. After who knows how long, the phone rang. It was my mom. Mom asked caringly if I had a birthday dinner or eaten cake today. Hearing this, I realized I hadn't eaten anything yet. Before hanging up, my mom asked nervously when I was coming back home. In the 5 years I had been here, I had only gone back home a handful of times. At first, my job wasn't stable. Later, Robert said it was too much trouble to go back and forth. I had just walked out of the bedroom when Billy suddenly threw a toy at me. "Bad person. Why are you at my place? Are you trying to steal my daddy again?" Before I could say anything, Megan bowed and apologized to me. "I'm sorry, Sarah. Billy is just a child. Please don't argue with him." Robert, standing next to her, said with a stern face, "It's not a big deal. No need to apologize. Besides, the reason Billy treated her like that is because she scared the child before." With that, he shielded Megan and Billy behind him. "Sarah, you're not really going to argue with a 5-year-old boy, are you? I'd be embarrassed for you if you did." Without saying a word, all the blame fell on me. "You guys continue. I just came out to get something." With that, I opened the refrigerator door. I discovered that the cake I had specially made was gone. I glanced at the living room. I clearly saw a messy cake on the dining table. Robert noticed my gaze and said nonchalantly, "Is that your cake?" Billy said it wasn't good, so he left it there. "If you want one, I'll buy you a new one." I casually threw the cake I had carefully prepared into the trash can and said flatly, "No need." With that, I pulled the door open and went out. I hadn't walked 2 steps when Robert chased after me and grabbed my arm. "Sarah, where are you going?" I looked at him in confusion. This was the first time Robert had left Megan and followed me out. "Why are you following me out?" Robert was slightly taken aback by my question. In the past, I would have been overjoyed to see him chase after me. I would have forgiven him no matter what he had done before. Robert's expression faltered, as if he hadn't expected my reaction to be so indifferent. I saw you leaving without saying goodbye, so I came out to ask." I said indifferently. "I'm going out to get something to eat." Just then, Megan came over with Billy. "Sarah, Billy just said he wanted to go to the pizza place. If you don't mind, why don't you come with us?" Consider it my apology. I don't like. Before I could finish speaking, Robert spoke up and agreed for me. He also told me to go start the car. Since I had already decided to leave, I didn't want to argue with Robert. So I went to the garage to get the car as he said. When I drove the car out, Robert naturally sat in the back seat with Megan and Billy. It wasn't until the car started moving that he noticed the issue. He explained nervously, "Billy is still young and clings to me, that's why." I saw the harmonious family of 3 in the rearview mirror and interrupted Robert impatiently, "It's good you're sitting together. The passenger seat is dangerous anyway." My words made Robert pause. He had said similar words before. When I argued with him about the passenger seat previously, he had said impatiently, "What's there to argue about one passenger seat? It's not safe anyway." For the rest of the drive, I felt like an outsider, watching the people in the back laugh and play. When we arrived at the pizza place, the 3 of them went in first. When I finished parking and went in, I saw only 3 place settings on the table. Robert looked at me awkwardly and was about to wave for a waiter to add a place setting. Suddenly, Billy next to him started crying and shouting, "I don't want to eat with the weird aunt. Mommy said she wants to steal my daddy. I don't want." Megan quickly covered his mouth and looked at me apologetically. "Sarah, kids say the darndest things. Please don't take it personally." Robert held Billy in his arms, gently soothing him. His eyes looked at me as if I had done something wrong. I chuckled softly and looked at Billy, saying, "Little one, your daddy will always be your daddy. I won't steal him." My words made Robert's expression suddenly change. Before he could speak, I turned and walked to a table in the corner and sat down. I ate pizza by myself. The laughter from not far away kept reaching my ears, but it didn't seem to affect my enjoyment of the pizza at all. On the way home after eating, I received a phone call from Robert. "Sarah, where are you? We're done eating. Wait for us in the parking lot." Listening to his entitled tone, I couldn't understand how little he thought of me. After being treated like that, would I still go back with them? "I'm already outside the house," I said flatly. My words immediately angered Robert. "Sarah, what do you mean? Why did you leave by yourself when we came out together?" I said calmly, "Aren't you going to see a movie?" As soon as I said that, Robert was choked up and couldn't speak. Before leaving the pizza place, I had already seen Megan's social media post. "Billy has always wanted to see this movie with his mom and dad, and now it's finally happening." The post included a picture of the 3 of them. A friend commented below, "You two are finally together. Congratulations." Megan replied with a shy emoji. Robert was silent for a few seconds before saying stiffly, "We could have gone to the movie together. Didn't you say I never watched a movie with you?" I smiled and said without hesitation, "No need. Have fun watching it yourselves." With that, I hung up the phone, completely disregarding Robert's reaction on the other end. When I got home, I received a notification from the office. It said my application to go back home had been approved and I should handle things here as soon as possible and return. This was the first piece of good news I had received in days. When Robert came back, I was organizing my work documents for handover. He was still angry about my attitude on the phone just now. He grabbed a change of clothes and went to wash up. By the time he came out, I was already lying in bed, ready to sleep. Robert stood beside the bed, staring straight at me. I could feel his intense gaze even with my eyes closed. Just as I was getting annoyed by being watched, the phone rang. "Sarah, isn't it your birthday today? The office has some benefits I'm bringing over for you." Mr. Thompson's loud voice was particularly clear in the dark night. I watched Robert's face turn awkward with his words. After hanging up the phone, I got out of bed and walked straight outside. After thanking Mr. Thompson, I took the things back inside. When I pushed the door open, I saw Robert opening the refrigerator door, looking for something. I glanced at him, then put the things down and went back to the bedroom to rest. A moment later, Robert came in, looking uneasy, and said, "There are no noodles at home. I'll get you some." I interrupted him with a yawn. "No need. I ate very well tonight." Robert's expression became even more uneasy. "I forgot today was your birthday." "I'm sorry," I said indifferently. "It's okay. It's just a birthday, isn't it? It doesn't matter whether I celebrate it or not." With that, I turned off the light and went to sleep. I had a dreamless night. In the following days, Robert came back to the bedroom on time every day. But I was busy with work handover and didn't have time to pay attention to him. I thought this harmonious life would continue until the day I left. But one day, while tidying up things in the study, I found a name change application. It had Robert's name on it. The date was 2 months ago. I froze for a moment. I continued rummaging through the study. Finally, in the bottom drawer, I found papers proving parentage. It listed Billy Jiang, formerly known as Billy Meng. My heart, which had been hanging in suspense, finally died at that moment. My heart, which had wavered because of Robert these past few days, became as firm as a rock again. I took the papers proving parentage and the divorce papers Robert had given me earlier and walked out to the living room. Robert was watching a movie with Megan in the living room. Seeing me suddenly walk in, he didn't have time to ask. I handed him the papers proving parentage I was holding. Robert looked down, his expression contorting in panic. Sarah, wife, listen to me. This is because Billy is too young. I couldn't be so cruel. His words made me laugh self-mockingly. Keeping a son from me. Robert, you're really something. Robert's face gradually turned pale with my words. His lips moved a few times, but he couldn't say anything. I looked at him coldly and handed him the divorce papers. Robert, let's get a divorce. I've already signed the divorce agreement. You don't need a fake divorce for someone else. I'll make it happen for you. My words made Robert's eyes widen instantly. Divorce? He asked in a trembling voice. Sarah, you want to divorce me? I shook the divorce papers in my hand, indicating that I had already signed them. Robert snatched the divorce papers and tore them to shreds, roaring, I won't divorce you. We'll have our own children in the future. Wife, let's not get a divorce. Megan suddenly knelt down next to him. I'm sorry, Sarah. It's all my fault. Rob changed his name because he felt sorry for Billy. Blame me if you want. I abruptly pulled her up from the ground and slapped her hard across the face. Megan covered her face, looking at me with resentment. But she couldn't do anything. Did you think I was like before, that I wouldn't hit you? Perhaps the meaning in my eyes was too direct. Megan rarely lowered her head in front of me. Robert instinctively shielded Megan behind him and said disapprovingly, Don't involve a third person in our matters. This was my own decision. Don't blame her. I just couldn't bear to see Billy feel insecure without a dad. Robert's selfless speech made me want to laugh. I couldn't help but question him. Robert, did you ever think about me? A hint of guilt flashed across Robert's face, but it quickly returned to normal. We don't have kids yet. We can change it back when Billy is older. Billy is a living, breathing child. I can't be so selfish. Why can't you understand me? His words, which twisted all sense of right and wrong, made me feel it was a good thing we didn't have children. Growing up in such a family, a child wouldn't be happy either. Thinking of this, the anger in my heart subsided. I glanced at the shredded paper on the ground and looked up at the self-righteous Robert. I said softly, I'll have someone print another copy of the divorce papers and send them to you. Robert reached out and grabbed me, pleading, after Megan and Billy move out, we'll have a child of our own. Before I could answer, a sudden push from behind sent me tumbling. Billy's angry and childish voice came from behind me, bad person. You're trying to steal my daddy again. You are. A bad person. Get out of my place. As soon as he finished speaking, he threw the glass he was holding at my forehead. I didn't react in time, and the glass hit me directly on the forehead. Warm blood slowly trickled out. Seeing this, Megan, afraid I would harm Billy, quickly pulled him into her arms. I'm sorry, Sarah. Billy only did this because he was too anxious. He's just a child. Can you please not take it personally? I'll pay for your medical expenses. Before I could say anything, Robert also said, Sarah, Billy is still young. We can't ruin his life like this. I looked at the three of them, united against me, and chuckled softly. Stumbling to my feet, I looked at Robert. The look in my eyes, which had always been full of love before, was now filled with unspeakable disappointment. Robert suddenly reacted. He quickly let go of Billy and ran towards me. "Wife, how's your wound? Let me bandage it for you." I forcefully pushed him away and said coldly, "Robert, I am definitely getting a divorce. You three should move out of this place as soon as possible." With that, I covered my wound and turned to walk towards the door. But before I could get out the door, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I looked down at my arm. There was a knife wound. Bright red blood slowly dripped from the wound. Billy, behind me, had a ferocious expression and was waving a knife in his hand. "You bad person, you want to kick us out. Go to hell." Saying that, he kept waving the knife at me. I pushed him down onto the ground. Robert quickly ran over and helped Billy up. He roared at me angrily, "Sarah, are you crazy? How could you hurt a child? Billy is still young, what does he understand?" Ignoring the wound on my hand, I kicked them out of the house one by one. Robert and Megan, concerned about Billy, didn't have time to argue with me and took him to the hospital. After I don't know how long, I finally went to the hospital. The doctor saw the wound that was no longer bleeding. Gian scolded me for not taking care of myself, coming to the hospital so late after getting hurt. As I walked out of the hospital, I ran into Robert and Megan, who was holding Billy. Robert's eyes fell on my bandaged wound, and a hint of nervousness flashed across his face as he was about to ask. Just then, Megan next to him suddenly spoke up, "Rob, you and Sarah should talk properly. I'll come back to your place to pack and move out tomorrow. I can take care of Billy myself. I shouldn't disrupt your normal life." Saying this, she was about to turn and leave. Billy, who had been sleeping soundly, suddenly opened his eyes and cried out for his daddy. Robert heard him and looked puzzled, then looked at me apologetically and said, "Sarah, you go back first. I'll come back tomorrow, and we'll talk properly. I won't agree to a divorce. We don't need a fake divorce anymore." After saying that, he took Billy from Megan's arms and gently soothed him. As they left, Megan looked back at me. Her eyes were full of provocation. I returned to the house, looking at the place filled with memories. The suppressed bitterness surged out. I bought this place in my second year here. I personally chose every item in the house. At the time, I thought since this was a place I would live in forever, I should decorate it according to my own preferences. On the first day we officially moved in, Robert excitedly hugged and kissed me. He said we finally had our own place, and that we would live here forever. I never expected that we would go our separate ways now. As I walked past the study, I saw a dusty jigsaw puzzle in the corner. The picture was a photo of Robert and me. We had originally planned to finish it and hang it in the most prominent spot in the living room. But we only finished half of it. Because Billy said he didn't like it, Robert stopped working on the puzzle photo. I took the puzzle photo to the backyard. I lit a fire and burned it to ashes. My love for Robert also turned to ashes bit by bit along with the puzzle. I spent a day packing my belongings into suitcases. The next day, as I was preparing to clean, Robert pushed open the front door. He came in and saw the living room half empty. He said in a deep voice, "Why is there so much stuff missing from the place?" I didn't answer. Instead, I asked him directly when he would pack his things. Robert's face darkened when he heard the question. "Sarah, you saw Billy's situation yesterday. I chose this because I had no choice. Can't you be understanding? I can't hurt a child." I nodded without thinking. "Yes, I understand." Robert heard this, and the smile hadn't fully appeared on his face before I continued, "So divorce is the best option. If we divorce, Megan can legitimately get her green card, and Billy won't lose his dad. After all, A child can't be without a dad. Robert insisted. I only wanted a fake divorce. How could you? But I've really decided to divorce you. I interrupted him without hesitation. Find some time to pack your things and take them with you. As Robert was about to say something else, I suddenly spoke. Robert, there are security cameras in the living room. If you don't want anything to happen to him, sign the papers quickly. Robert didn't expect me to threaten him with Billy. He opened and closed his mouth several times but couldn't say anything. Finally, he found an excuse and fled in a hurry. Watching his retreating back, I didn't feel any reluctance. I even felt annoyed by his persistent pestering. In the following days, Robert avoided me as if he were running away. I didn't go looking for him either. Instead, I packed up everything in the house and cleaned it. I contacted a real estate agent and listed the house. I didn't expect Robert to come back the day after I listed the house. He looked at the luggage on the floor, his expression somewhat lost. Sarah, what does this mean? What do you mean by packing my things? I looked at him strained. Ely, my tone puzzled. We're getting divorced. Why would your things be at my place? Don't worry, I've already thrown away all the things that annoyed you. Robert said, I won't divorce you. Wife, the child issue was my fault, but I just wanted to help someone. You don't blame me, do you? You've always been understanding, haven't you? As Robert said this, his voice became increasingly uncertain. By the end, his voice was barely audible even to himself. I said understandingly, I understand your desire to help. Billy likes you so much, isn't it more suitable for you to be his dad? Robert desperately shook his head, grabbing my hand and saying he wouldn't be Billy's dad. Hearing this, I laughed. He wouldn't be Billy's dad, but he allowed him to call him daddy. He kept saying he didn't like Megan, but he hurt me repeatedly for her. Robert, aren't you embarrassed saying that? Just as Robert was about to say something, the doorbell rang. I thought it was the real estate agent coming to show the house. I opened the door and saw it was Megan and Billy. When Billy saw me, he glared at me. Then he ran towards Robert. Daddy, Billy missed you so much. Then Megan spoke up, sounding a little apologetic. Sorry to bother you. Billy has a doll he sleeps with every day, so I took the liberty of coming over. And to pack our things. As she said this, Megan kept looking at me with a faint smile, seemingly confident that I wouldn't let her move out. After all, in many previous arguments, I had always been the one to back down. Every time, I had yielded to Robert. This time wouldn't be like that. I smiled at her. I pointed to the pile of luggage in the corner, my voice laced with amusement. Your things are all here. Just take them. Megan's expression instantly stiffened. She hadn't expected this outcome. As she was brewing something to say, I continued, take Robert's luggage too. It'll be more convenient for you to live together. Megan's expression became even complex. From disbelief to a knowing look. Billy was quite happy and wanted to pull Robert away. But Megan stopped him. Uncle Rob lives here. Let's go home ourselves, okay? Hearing this, Billy immediately burst into tears. Megan held him and left with her own luggage. I wasn't surprised by this outcome. I had known for a long time that Megan didn't really like Robert. She just wanted a place where she could live for free and take advantage. After Robert found out they had moved here, she showed up on his doorstep. After Megan left, it took Robert a long time to react. He raised his hand to grab me and said with difficulty, Wife, I've kicked them out. Can we live a good life together from now on? His eyes looked at me with anticipation. I chuckled softly and personally carried his luggage out of the house. I stood by the door, watching him. Robert stared fixedly at me. After confirming that I wouldn't change my mind, he left dejectedly. Not long after, I received a message from him. I won't agree to a divorce. Let's talk properly after you calm down. The day after Robert left, I scheduled an appointment with the real estate agent. I signed the contract, entrusting him with the sale of the house. That night, I flew back home with my luggage. When I appeared outside the house with my luggage, Mom and Dad didn't react for a moment. Mom looked at me several times and said with a choked voice, "Sarah, why are you back so suddenly?" Dad, who rarely showed his emotions, also had red eyes. Mom quickly pulled me inside. She started bustling around, getting things for me. Soon after, the dining table was set with my favorite steak and potatoes. Dad urged me to eat quickly. I finished the noodles in no time, leaving no broth. Dad spoke after I finished eating. "Why did you bring so much luggage back this time?" I wiped my mouth and said, "I couldn't get used to the food over there, so I applied to come back." Mom and Dad's expressions froze for a moment. After a long time, Mom still couldn't quite believe it. "You mean you're not going back?" I put my arm around her shoulder and nodded firmly. "Yes, I'm going to stay at home with you." Mom glared at me, muttering about who needed me to stay with them, but the smile on her face grew brighter and brighter. Dad asked me directly about Robert. Was he by himself in the US? Robert had moved to the US not long after we got married. He didn't spend much time with Mom and Dad. We were practically strangers. I told them frankly that Robert and I were divorced. Dad sighed after a long time. "As long as you're happy." That night, I lay in my own bed and had sweet dreams all night. I specifically applied for a week's vacation from the office. I took Mom and Dad traveling. The smiles on their faces grew more frequent. In contrast to my comfortable life back home, Robert, in the US, learned that I had sold the house. When he went to the house to look for me, he kept ringing the doorbell, but no one answered. Just then, the real estate agent brought someone to see the house. Robert then found out that I had sold the house. He kept calling my phone. The response he got was always, "Hello, the number you have dialed is temporarily unavailable." Robert went to the office to find me, and Mr. Thompson told him that I had applied to go back home. He asked in a trembling voice when I had applied. Mr. Thompson said without thinking, "On her birthday." After leaving the office, what happened on my birthday kept replaying in Robert's mind. He couldn't understand why I had suddenly applied to go back home just because he had forgotten my birthday and mentioned the fake divorce. Robert felt that there must be something he didn't know. But he needed to find me and ask clearly. That day, he bought a plane ticket and flew back home. But after getting off the plane, Robert couldn't remember where Mom and Dad's place was. He could only resort to the same tactic and go to the office to find me. The office said I was on vacation. Robert wanted to contact my friends, but he searched his phone book and couldn't find contact information for a single one of my friends. He didn't even have Mom and Dad's phone number. At that moment, Robert realized how little he knew about me. He could only find a hotel near my office and stay there. He kept calling me. After who knows how many calls, I answered. I asked him calmly if there was anything. His long-standing habit made Robert speak with a hint of accusation. "Why did you sell the house? What about me?" Hearing this, I asked in confusion, "Didn't I buy this house?" Back then, because Robert said he wanted to have our own place, I worked long hours and hard to close deals. Finally, I bought the house we lived in. At that time, I wanted to put his name on it. But Robert refused. "Robert, that's my house." Without waiting for him to speak, I continued, "I've already handed the divorce matter over to a lawyer. If you have anything, just contact the lawyer." With that, I hung up the phone directly, regardless of what Robert wanted to say next. I didn't know Robert had come back home until the next day. The police brought him directly to my place. I looked at Robert sitting in the living room, and for a moment, I couldn't understand what he wanted. Mom and Dad offered to go for a walk and let us talk properly. I looked at him calmly. Is there something you came back for? Robert's eyes turned red from that one sentence. Sarah, you're so cruel. You sold the house and left without a word. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. Robert, wasn't divorce what you wanted all along? I'm just giving you what you wanted. Robert replied without thinking, I never wanted a divorce. The only person I've ever loved is you. Hearing this, a sarcastic smile played on my lips. Really? Is that how you express your love? By hurting me? Well, I don't want that kind of love. Robert wanted to say something but found he couldn't argue back. He finally realized how much he had hurt me. After a long pause, he said blankly, I just wanted to help Megan. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't love her, it wasn't even liking. It was just a kind of obsession and unwillingness from my youth. This was the first time Robert had explained his feelings for Megan since she appeared. But I no longer cared. I looked at him indifferently. I casually said, okay. Robert was speechless. I sighed and said to him calmly, you can leave now if you're done. It's hot outside, and Mom and Dad might get heat stroke. Robert seemed not to have expected me to ask him to leave immediately. He looked at me blankly. I opened the front door and looked at him. Finally, Robert yielded and left with his head down. I thought I wouldn't see Robert again after that day. But I didn't expect him to rent a place near my house. Every day, he would put the food he made himself outside the house. Mom looked at the thermos outside the door and asked me what to do, looking a little helpless. I glanced at it and said indifferently, leave it there. He'll come get it himself. Robert didn't seem to care about my coldness at all. He persistently made different meals for me every day. Later, he even made small pastries. Finally, one day, I couldn't stand it anymore and waited for him at the door. Robert's face lit up when he saw me. He handed me the things he was holding and said carefully, wife, I made ribs and broccoli today, and cream puffs I made myself. Try them. I took the things from his hand. Robert's joy became even more apparent. But I carried the thermos straight to the trash can. After looking back at Robert, who seemed a little slow to react, I threw it directly into the trash can. With the clang of the trash can lid, Robert's eyes instantly turned red. He asked in a choked voice why I did that. I said coldly, your actions are affecting my normal life. Robert said blankly, I just wanted to be nice to you. I don't want to divorce you. You. I wasn't moved at all. Don't waste your time. There's no possibility between us. Robert was in tears. Why won't you forgive me? You're the one I love. I chuckled softly, my tone cold. But I'm tired of the days when you loved me. Robert stared at me intently for a long time. Finally, he slowly turned and left. Not long after, the real estate agent told me the house was sold. The buyer didn't negotiate the price. When I signed the electronic contract, I saw Robert's name. I didn't ask any more questions. I just signed the contract and waited to receive the money. Life went on as usual. Although it was plain, it was very happy. One day, a month later, a colleague back home called and told me that my old house had been set on fire. I was a little surprised to hear that. He said it was a child. Billy's face flashed in my mind. After hanging up the phone, I checked. It really was Billy. Because Robert was very cold to her now and wouldn't let them in, Billy felt that Robert had turned bad. He wanted to teach him a lesson. So after Robert came home, he lit a fire and threw it into the backyard. Unexpectedly, the wind was very strong that day, and the fire spread quickly. By the time Robert finished washing up and came out, he couldn't escape. In the end, he died in the fire. Billy was only given a verbal warning because he was young. Megan was fined a large sum of money because of this incident. I never expected this money to end up in my hands. In the end, I donated all the money to a children's charity. Not long after, Megan was sued by the US police for child abandonment leading to the child's death. When I saw the news, I skipped over it. Those were all in my past now. My happiness was right in front of me. Sarah, come down and eat. Dad made your favorite barbecue ribs today. Coming! I quickly got up and ran towards my happy barbecue ribs.